Hey YouTube fam, welcome back. I hope you're all doing so well. I'm excited to be practicing with you today. We're gonna jump right into movement, but before we do, a reminder that I have an online yoga membership website called The Kula where you can practice with me as much as you could possibly want to practice with me. There are hundreds and hundreds of classes in the library, new classes 3 times a week by me, and also some guest facilitators as well. I'll put the links that you need to know below. There's a code YouTubeFam that will get you half off of your first month. And we've got some exciting things coming up in there, including a new membership tier coming up right now. There's monthly or annual, and we've got something new coming soon. And as always, I have in-person events coming up. I've got 2 retreats on the schedule right now, which are probably going to be my last 2 for a minute because I'm shifting to focus a little bit more on teacher training, so more on that in a minute too. But we've got Greece in September if you want a last minute retreat trip, and we've got in March of 2025, Panama, and that's happening with my whole Kula team, which will be a lot of fun. I've got 200 and 300 hour yoga teacher trainings coming up in Portugal and some online modules as well. So again, I don't want to chat at you too much here, but I do want you to be in the know about the ways that you can practice with me both online and in person. I'll put the links below. And otherwise, just a really big thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up, for taking the time to move your body, and for being in this space with me. Let's go ahead and get started in a seat. I'm gonna suggest a Sukhasana, easy seat. Let's do this. Let's find a Sukhasana, easy seat at the back of our mats. And I would suggest that you sit up onto a block. So right ankle crossed over left to start. And as always, I'm gonna throw out all the options, but if there's somewhere else that sounds better, go there. Listen to your body. Let the hands fall into the lap. And as you take this first really big inhale, can you shrug the shoulders up to the ears? Find some even tension in the neck and the jaw and the face. Really scrunch up here. I know it's not the most pleasant sensation, but it's going to be in a moment. Find that tensing sensation in the shoulders, maybe the muscles throughout the face for 5, 4, 3, 2. As you open the mouth and find a really big exhale, just let it all go. Shoulders drop. Soften the muscles throughout the face and let the eyes close. And even as the eyes close, can you bring your awareness to the space where the eyelids meet? And can you soften there? We're here just for a couple of moments. As your breath finds its own natural rhythm, long and slow inhales, long and slow exhales. Reach the crown of the head a little taller into the space above it. Soften the shoulders down. Take a big inhale all the way to the top. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Big exhale, let it go. Know that you're welcome to be here for as long as you like. Keep the eyes closed if you can as you're ready for it. Crawl the fingertips to the knees as you round through the back body. Get a little grippy with the finger pads around the knees. You can use that to traction the back of the heart to the space behind you. Tuck the tailbone up and in, pull the chin into the chest. And as you slide the hands up the thighs, heels of the hands towards the hip creases, bump the heart through, send breath across the collarbones, lift the chin, lift the gaze. Softly open the eyes. As you exhale, round out, slide the hands towards the knees. Hands slide up the thighs as you bump the heart through. 2 more times, round it out. And open it up. Last time, round it out. Come to a neutral spine. We're going to keep the legs as they are, and now just crawl the fingertips forwards. You're folding over the legs. Bringing length into the low back, a bit into the hips. And as you get here, I want you to grip the finger pads to the mat. And we're going to play with shifting forward into kind of a wide tabletop position. So as you pull the shoulders on top of wrists, bump the knees or bump the shins out so that they're parallel to the edges of the mat. And probably your knees are a little bit wider than the hips. That's great. Keep them there. Crawl the hands forward, puppy pose. Bump the heart towards the floor. Shifting your gaze towards your thumbs, if that's available for the neck. Maybe a little bit of a bounce with the chest. Drop the forearms all the way to the floor. Tuck the tailbone. See if you can let that start to ripple up the spine that rolls you all the way through to a sphinx shape. You can keep the feet out wide as they are. As you land here, nudge the elbows towards the hip bones. Get a little taller through the crown. And then on your exhale, heart comes back down to the floor. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Bring the toes back towards each other. We're gonna come to a Sukhasana on the other side. So left ankle crosses over the right as you send the hips towards the heels. Bring the hips all the way to the block. And you are seated, left ankle crossed over the right ankle. Sukhasana means easy seat, by the way, and it's kind of a Sanskrit word for easy seat, aka crisscross applesauce. Left ankle over the right this time. Hands to the knees. We're going to find barrel rolls. Bump the heart forward. Roll the rib cage over to the left. Back of the heart for the space behind you. To the right. Scoop it forward and then just roll it around. You can imagine this movement happening from your heart, your lungs, and then can you get the head and neck involved? Maybe you can get the hips involved, just kind of flossing out the whole thoracic cavity and the spine. As you find your way towards center, into neutral on your inhale, this time sweep the fingertips up overhead. On your exhale, cactus the elbows, opening the heart up to the sky. And come back to neutral. As you do, you're crawling the hands forward, just like we were. Walking the hands towards the top of the mat. Be here for a moment. And then one more time, we play with that roll over the knees into our wide-legged tabletop. Walk the hands forward, puppy pose. Palms plant, fingertips grip the mat as you shift your gaze forward. And tuck the tailbone, let that start to ripple up the spine that rolls you through all the way to your Sphinx pose. And if you've still got a block at the back of your mat, lucky you, you're gonna squeeze the feet into the block. And if the block isn't there, you can imagine that there is one there. Press the forearms into the mat to start. Bump the heart forward. We're gonna play, keep the tops of the toes on the floor for now. Can you sweep the hands behind you? So you're in kind of this locust pose, except your toenails are pressing into the floor, your heels are squeezing into the block. And now, can you lift the block up off the mat? And then lower it to tap. And then lift it up and lower it to tap. Lift it to the top and hold for 8, 7, squeeze into the block. Final 6, 5, 4, maybe you bend into the elbows, hands to the base of the skull. Lift the elbows a little higher, nudge the heart forward. Final 4, 3, 2, as you exhale, you let it all go. Hands slide underneath the shoulders. Knees are hip width distance apart. Now let's press up into a tabletop. You can kind of slide the block off of the mat if it's still there. Tuck onto the toes, lift the knees to a hover above the floor. We're going to start to spice things up a little bit. Cat-cows from this space. Inhale, open the collarbones, lift tailbone, lift gaze. Exhale, round it out. In breath, open up. Exhale, curl it in. In breath, open. Exhale, neutral, pause. Knees are still to a hover. Can you lift the right toes to a hover? Can you drive the right heel all the way to the back of the mat like you're kicking into a wall at the back of the mat? And then pull the right knee back in and drop the right toes back down. Left toes hover, pause. Drive the left heel all the way to the space behind you. Get strong into the glutes. Left knee pulls back in. Left toes drop, hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, wave it back, downward facing dog. And as you lift the hips, find a little pedal of the feet. Bend into one knee, the other knee. Shift the hips side to side. On your next inhale, sweep the right toes high. Bend the right knee, open up the hip. You might even play here with popping up onto right fingertips or even reaching the right hand forward just a little. And as the right hand drops back down, if it has lifted, pull the right knee into the chest and step the right foot all the way through. Keep the crown of the head reaching forward. Both hands, all 10 fingertips, reach off to the front of the room. Pull the low ribs in. Back of the left thigh presses up towards the sky. Pull the rib cage off of the top of the right thigh. Low ribs pull in. And as you soften the left knee down to the floor, cactus out the elbows and open up the heart space. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back body. We're going to move back and forth between these two shapes, this strong power lunge and this flowy open Anjaneyasana. Reach the fingertips forward, pull the low ribs in, embrace the core. Lift the back left leg. And then soften the left knee down as you squeeze the elbows to the back of the mat. And then slide it forward, left knee lifts, reach through the fingertips. Elbows bend as left knee softens and you open the heart space. Forward fold to the top of the mat as hands meet the floor, framing out the right foot. Left foot steps forward, Uttanasana. A generous little bend into the knees as you clasp opposite elbows, sway left and right. And fingertips release to the floor as you inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Big exhale, fold and let it go. In-breath, rise, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. In-breath, halfway lift. As you exhale, fold, step back to your plank pose. So hands plant, wrists underneath the shoulders. Know that knees can drop to the floor anytime you need them to. And you can also simply hang out here at the top. This is a strong place to be in. Or you can join me to bump the heart forward a little. Bend the elbows lower halfway, chaturanga, and then press right back to the top. 4 more times, lower half. To the top, here's 3. To the top, final 2. To the top, lower halfway, hold for 5. 4, 3, 2. Pull it through upward facing dog or any other back bend you want to move through. Eventually roll over the toes and send the hips back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Big inhale here through the nose, fill it up. Linger at the top for a moment. Be there in a space that's potentially a little uncomfy. Open mouth, let it go. Inhale, sweep the left toes high. Bend the left knee, open up the hip. You can either hang out right here, or you can shift your weight right just a little bit so you can pop up onto left fingertips. Even hover the left hand, reach it forward. If the left hand has lifted, soften it back down, pull the left knee to chest, and step the left foot through. Crown of the head reaches forward. You're driving off the ball of the right foot as you reach one arm forward and then the other arm forward. And by the way, a modification for this could be arms out to airplane wings. If arms out forward is too much, especially for the low back. Really drive the left heel into the mat, pull the low ribs in, get longer through the crown. And as you exhale, right knee softens to the floor, open up the heart space, elbows pull towards the back corners of the mat. Couple more times, slide it forward, lift the right knee, reach through the fingertips. Maybe you shift so far forward, it's just the right big toe on the floor. And as you pull the hips back, right knee bends, cactus out the elbows and open the heart. Drive it all the way forward, power lunge. Bend into the right knee and send it back. Forward fold to the top of the mat, Uttanasana. Hands frame out the left foot. Lift the right knee and step the foot forward. In breath, halfway lift, lengthen. Audible big exhale, sigh it out, let it go. In breath, rise all the way up to stand. Sweep the fingertips up and over. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant hands. This time, option to add on your crow pose, knees to the backs of the arms, elbows bent. Maybe the heels chase the glutes. If you're new to your crow pose, keep the toes on the ground and find the shape, but take the element of balance out of it. Pull the elbows in towards each other, lift the back of the heart a little higher. And hang out here. Rather than this being a shape we move right past, take some time in this one. If you want to add on something a little different, you could flex out the right toes and maybe right toes tap right wrist or the floor and then squeeze it in, and then maybe left toes tap and squeeze it in. Bringing in a little bit of movement to the shape. Eventually, we meet in a down dog. You can step back, hop back, vinyasa, child's pose. As soon as you meet your down dog, we're gonna move into a little bit more rhythmic sun salutation A's. We'll pick up our pace a little bit. Feel free to add on your handstands, your crow poses, whatever movements you want to add into the mix, and it's all good if you're not with me. Find your own rhythm to it. Come onto toes, bend knees. Exhale carries the feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. In breath to halfway lift. Exhale, fold and move it through. In breath, rise, come all the way to stand. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale as you fold, plant hands. Could be a crow pose, could be an inversion, could be straight back through your vinyasa. Whatever movement carries you to a down dog. 2 more rounds just like that. Onto toes, bend knees. Exhale, step, walk, hop, or play, feet to the top of the mat. In breath, half lift. Out breath, fold. In breath, rise. Exhale, Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant hands. Your vinyasa, your additions. Eventually, your down dog. One more time. When you meet your down dog, let it roll right into the next. Come onto toes, bend knees. Exhale, feet to the top of the mat. In breath, half lift. Out breath, fold. In breath, rise. Exhale, Uttanasana, come right back down. In breath, a halfway lift and lengthen. As you exhale, you fold. Vinyasa. Any movements you add along the way. As you meet your down dog, take a breath here, in through the nose. And out through the nose, make it as long as you can. Really slow down your exhale. And as you take your next inhale, sweep the right toes high. Right knee bends. I want you to imagine you're going towards a wild thing, but the floor is lava underneath your right toes. You're squeezing the right heel into the glutes. Your right toes are not touching the floor, but they're getting as close to it as they can. Like really flirt with that touch to the floor, except right toes don't come all the way down. As you pull the right knee into the chest, step the right foot all the way to the top of the mat. On the ball of the left foot now, reach the fingertips forward. We're in this big power lunge shape. Just once, let's open it all the way to that Anjaneyasana. Left knee bends, cactus out the elbows, open up the heart. All the way to your crouching warrior as you lean your heart back over the right thigh, kick off of the left toes. Left leg lifts. Right knee is bent here. Bring palms to touch at the heart. Of course, if you need to use the hands to the floor for balance here at any point, you can. We're gonna play with opening up towards a half moon pose. So straighten through the right leg, peel the left hip and the left shoulder open. Again, hands to the floor or to a block anytime you need, but otherwise we're testing balance here. Just one more time, let's bend the right knee, drop the left hip down, left shoulder down towards our crouching warrior shape. Bend the right knee even more, really load up the right leg, and then drive through the right heel to open it up, half moon. Warrior 2, right knee bends, slow step of the left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Virabhadrasana 2. Soften the shoulders down. Reach through the fingertips. Straighten through the right leg and reverse. Left hand to the left thigh, right fingertips reach up and over. Big transition all the way to our low horizon. As you rebend the right knee, cartwheel the left hand to the mat. Shift to the left toes and sweep the right fingertips up. You're welcome to stay here or roll to the outside edges of both feet, bumping the left hip down. From your low horizon pose, Skandasana to the back of the mat. So you'll drive through the feet to lift the hips up. Pivot to the left, right past your wide-legged forward fold, and send the hips all the way to the left heel. Hands can always be to the floor for support as you need. Keep the hips low. We're coming right back to that low horizon lunge. So drive, slide the hips through center and all the way back to the top of the mat. Left hand plants and roll it open. Plank pose, right hand plants. Step the right foot back. Vinyasa if you want it. We meet eventually with the hips up and back, downward facing dog. As you inhale, the left toes sweep high. Bend the left knee, open up the hip. You're welcome to stay here or to play with rolling it open towards your wild thing. Again, the left toes might flirt with that reach to the floor, but left heel is squeezing into the glutes. You're pressing the floor away from you with the right hand, and the left toes stay to a hover the entire time. Roll the left shoulder onto the back body. A big step with the left foot all the way to the top of the mat. As it lands, you're on the ball of the right foot. Reach the fingertips forward. Find this power lunge shape. Long line of energy down the back line of the body. Right knee bends on Vinyasa. Open up the heart space. You cactus out the elbows. All the way to your crouching warrior as you lean your heart over the left thigh. Kick off of the right toes. Left knee stays bent. Thumbs at the heart space. Squeeze the shoulders onto the back. Think that same locust pose that we were at earlier in practice. And as you drive through the left heel, left leg straightens and open it up towards your half moon pose with or without extending the arms. Rebend the left knee, come back to that crouching warrior. By the way, the wobbles will probably happen. Let them be there. Drive through the left heel one more time, open it up, half moon pose. You might even notice the conversation that your left foot is having with the floor to navigate your balance. Warrior two, be slow about it as left knee bends. Right foot steps back, arms windmill open, left and right. Take a full breath here. Straighten through the left leg. And reverse, right hand slides down the right thigh, left fingertips up and over. Again, from this shape, we're going all the way to our low horizon. You might picture it in your mind's eye before we even go there. And then imagine I press the slow motion button as you bend into the left knee. Circle the right hand all the way to the mat. So mindful in these shapes between the shapes as you tuck onto the right toes and sweep the left fingertips high. Welcome to pause or to roll it open, dropping the right hip down. And shifting to the outside edges of both feet. The drop of the hips here might just be a little bit. Could be a lot. Could be right hip all the way to the floor. Or of course anywhere between. Drive the hips up, pivot to the right, sweep right past that wide fold as you send the hips to the right heel, Skandasana. Hands can always be to the floor. They can be lifted. Back to your low horizon, be slow with it. Sweep the hips through center. Swivel the right hand to the top of the mat, left fingertips up and over, and maybe you spin to the outside edges of the feet and drop the right hip down. And drive the hips up. Find center, plank pose, left foot steps back. Vinyasa if you want it. And of course, skip it if you don't. We're gonna find a variation of that sequence one last time. We will add on some things, give you the opportunity to expand if you want. And of course, at any point, you can flow off in your own direction or take a child's pose. Take one more inhale here, fill up. One more exhale, let it go. On your next inhale, sweep the right toes high. Bend the right knee, open the hip. This time, drop the right toes all the way behind you and send the hips towards the floor. Right fingertips point towards the back of the room. And as you drive through the feet as they are, now send the hips up. Right fingertips reach up and over. Can you start to play with pulling the right knee in towards the right rib cage? Big step of the right foot all the way to the top of the mat. Take it straight to your crouching warrior. Left toes lift, palms come to touch at the heart space. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, you straighten through the right leg, warrior three. Right knee bends, left toes step back. Keep the left knee lifted this time. High crescent lunge, sweep the fingertips up and over. As you exhale, cactus out the elbows and open the heart. All the way back to your crouching warrior, lean the heart out over the right leg. Left leg lifts, right knee is bent, palms to the heart, or they can extend as you drive it open to your half moon pose. Rolling the left hip and the left shoulder open and scooping the right underneath. Okay, start to play with pulling the left knee in towards the chest. And use that momentum to come all the way to stand. Shoulders stack on top of the hips. Left thigh hugs up to the left rib cage. Interlace the hands around the left shin. Drive it up. And that compression between the left thigh and the left ribs. And now lean the upper body back. Maybe you even bend into the right knee a little bit. Like you're trying to tap the right knee to a wall just out in front of you. Come back up tall through the spine. Take an inhale here. Release the interlace of the hands. Open it all the way back up to your half moon pose. A big circular movement at the left hip gets you there. And into your warrior two. Right knee bends. Left foot steps back. Fingertips reach in both directions. Drive through the right heel. Straighten the right leg. And reverse. Left hand down the left thigh. Right fingertips up and over. As you re-bend the right knee, circle left hand all the way to the mat. Find your low horizon. So rolling to the outside edges of the feet, right fingertips point back. And all the way to your Skandasana, back of the mat. Pivot to the left. Hips to the left heel, right leg straightens, right toes point up. All the way back to your low horizon. Slide the hip center over to the right. Left hand plants and circle it open. Let's go back and forth. One more time. As you pivot to the left, and it's all good if you're not with me. Past your wide folds. Hips to the left heel, right leg straight. Right toes point up. This time, hips slide through center. We're finding our way back to the top of the mat. Left hand plants, but take it to your side plank on the left. Right foot takes a big step back. Right fingertips sweep up and over. So right palm faces down towards the mat and right fingertips are reaching up and over forward towards the top of the mat. Hang out here. Any variations you want to take with your side plank pose, Vashisthasana. Plank pose, roll it center, wrists underneath the shoulders. Pause. Bend into the knees, pull the heart and the hips back, almost like you're gonna go to a child's pose, but you're kind of hovering above the mat. Lift the hips, let that start to wave up the spine that rolls you forward into a plank shape. 2 more times, bend the knees, pull the heart back, pull the hips back. Lift the hips and wave it forward, high plank pose. 1 more time, bend the knees, heart back, hips back. Lift the hips and wave it through. Vinyasa if you want it. We meet in a downward facing dog. Last time, last side. On your inhale, sweep the left toes high. Bend the left knee, open hip. Again, this time left toes drop all the way behind you. Right leg is straight, left knee is bent. But as the left foot lands, drop the hips down and point the left fingertips back. And as you drive through the feet as they are, send the hips up. So finding a variation of your wild thing, left heel will lift from the mat. And as you shift your weight back into the right foot, left knee chases left rib cage. Left foot is finding its way all the way to the top of the mat. Could be one long slow step or a couple little ones. As soon as it lands, shift your weight to the left foot, crouching warrior. Right leg kicks to the space behind. Left knee has a really strong bend in it. Palms come to touch at the heart. Squeeze shoulder blades onto back. As you exhale, you straighten through the left leg. Re-bend into the left knee. Right toes step all the way back as you sweep the fingertips up and over, high crescent lunge. Exhale, cactus the elbows, open the heart. Drive the back of the right thigh towards the back of the heart. And as you slide back forward, all the way back to your crouching warrior, left knee bends. Palms come to touch at the heart. Half moon pose, straighten through the left leg, peel the right hip and the right shoulder open. Let the wobbles happen. And of course, if you need to bring a hand to a block or the floor, then do. Start to play with that pull of the right thigh towards the right shoulder, armpit, rib cage, whatever resonates with you there. Use that momentum to roll it all the way to stand. As you get there, hands interlace around the right shin, pull the right thigh up towards the right rib cage and lean back. Bringing length into the front of the left hip, tuck the tailbone down. Bend the left knee a little more. As you release the back bend, shoulders navigate their way to the stacked on top of the hips. Release the right leg, Big circle movement at the right hip rolls you right back to your half moon pose. Drive the right leg back. Left hand to block or floor or hover. Let it be one continuous movement that brings you all the way to your warrior two. Left knee bends, right foot plants, fingertips reach. Subtle twist of the heart to the right. Straighten through the left leg and find your reverse. Right hand, right thigh, left fingertips up and over. As you rebend the left knee, cartwheel the right hand to the floor, low horizon, spinning to the outside edges of both feet. Left fingertips point back. Drive the hips up and pivot to the right. Pass the wide fold all the way to Skandasana. We get to move back and forth between these two shapes. Another full round. So keep the hips low as you slide them center. And when you get to the top of the mat, pivot around, roll to the outside edges of the feet, and right hip drops. Drive through the outside edges of the feet, pivot to the right one last time, all the way to your Skandasana. Again, this time the transition is to a side plank on the right. So as you roll the hip center and find the top of the mat, right hand plants. Come to the outside edge of the right foot and step the left foot back. Any variation of your side plank that feels available here. Shoulder blades towards each other on the back body, but press the floor away from you with the right hand. Reach the left arm forward, palm faces down. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, plank pose, roll center, hold. Bend into the knees, pull the heart and the hips back. Lift the hips, let that start a wave up the spine that undulates you forward, plank pose. And 2 more times, bend the knees, heart back, hips back. Lift the hips and wave it forward, find a rhythm to it as you meet your plank pose. Roll right past it, bend knees, pull hips back. Lift hips up and wave it through, and then Vinyasa. Soften the knees to the floor. Untuck the toes, sit to heels. Close the eyes. Hands find the lap. Big inhale through the nose. Feel the belly expand. Navel presses outward. A slow exhale through the nose. Navel pulls in towards the spine. Big inhale through the nose. Belly expands outward. Open mouth. Exhale, let it go. And soft opening of the eyes as you transition all the way to a seat. So crossing over the ankles. Bring the legs out long in front of you. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Lift up out of the waist. And exhale, fold. Heart over top of the thighs. Pull the toes towards you, kicking the heels forward. And drop the weight of the head. Inhale, back up tall through the spine. Fingertips reach forward and roll to the back body. Pull the right knee in when you get here. Spinal twist, guide the right knee over the body. Inhale, center. Swap. Right leg long. Exhale into your twist. Inhale, center. And exhale, Savasana, sliding the legs long. Of course, if there's any last movements you'd like to round out your practice, take them. Palms face up to the ceiling. Shoulder blades bump towards each other on the back, lifting the heart up a little. And shifting to a much different texture, different flavor of the practice. One that takes all the benefits of our movement and nudges us into a little bit more rest, recover, nurture. If you find the mind wandering off and trying to take you with it, come back. It's as simple as that. Find the body, find the breath. Again and again, as many times as you need to. Training the mind to preference the present moment. And thank you for sharing your practice. I'll leave you here. It's an honor to share in the practice and in this space and in this community together. I'm so grateful for you showing up. And I hope to move with you again really soon. Namaste.